was young, my grandparents, they drove me down to Chicago with them. My grandpa had an apartment down there. Latin American, Hispanic neighborhood. He was a social worker and used to drive back and forth between here and Chicago. And I didn't know much about what he did as a kid, but I just knew that he had an office in on the south side of Milwaukee, and he used to go down there every day. And my mom, she would always, I felt like she was worried about him, always going down there. But I don't know, that's just what he did. He spoke fluent Spanish. There was a couple of Mexican restaurants in our neighborhood, and we always go out to eat there. And my grandpa had all types of stuff, Mexican blankets and ponchos and sombrero and cactus and chanclas and borrachis, and he was always eating churros and beans and rice, and my mom, she had my sister 3 years after me, and she was half Mexican. Her dad, Manuel, so I was always really immersed in Latin American culture, Hispanic culture growing up as a kid. And we would always be on the south side, hanging out with my mom and sister, and we would go visit my sister's family sometimes, her dad and his family, and her uncle Mario and Aunt Rachel Ayala. And then my mom got back with my dad eventually, and then 20 years later, after I was born, my mom and my other sister, Isabella, her dad is Texan, but he's indigenous. He's got like Apache and but she identifies as Latin American or Hispanic, my sister. So my grandpa used to work with the farmers, migrant workers in Racine County. He was originally from Indiana, and my grandma, she was from Kansas. She was from like right south side of Kansas City, like Topeka, Kansas area. And she and my grandpa, they went to Pitt State. They met in college. And my grandpa said that my grandma said, she said that my grandpa seen her sitting on the stairs with a bunch of her friends, and she went over to him and asked him if he wanted to dance. My grandma always wore the pants, So yeah, she was running things in the house. But so they ended up courting in college. And my grandma, she was going for nursing. My grandpa was going for social work. And they ended up moving together. They got married. My grandpa, he was raised Protestant. And my grandma was raised Catholic. And my grandma's parents, my great-grandpa, he was from Yugoslavia. He came here as a stowaway. When he was 17 years old, he snuck on a ship Him and his wife from Austria. She was from Austria, and her maiden name was Gorenz. And so great grandpa snuck here from Yugoslavia. I think he was probably trying to escape the war or something. But anyway, World War I, World War II. So anyway, so they met, and then they ended up moving, and they got married, and they ended up moving to my great grandpa wouldn't, and grandma wouldn't let my grandpa marry my grandma unless he converted to Catholicism, so he became Catholic, and then they got married, and they moved to Racine County here in Wisconsin. And so my grandpa, he worked there with the migrant workers, coming up from Mexico and Chicago, via Chicago from Mexico. And they were getting established here in Wisconsin. There wasn't that many Latinos, Hispanics coming here. But he got, involved with social work, and my grandparents got involved with the Democratic Party and the church, the Catholic Church, ecumenical affairs, and they worked towards ecumenical affairs. I work towards, helping migrants establish themselves here in the United States and in Milwaukee and in southeastern Wisconsin in general. So actually, in Racine, my grandparents sat on their kitchen table and they started this organization that I'm pulling up to right now, which is called UMOS, United Migrant Opportunity Services, Wisconsin Job Center. So, let's see, UMOS, right? So they actually started it on their kitchen table, and they had partners, and shortly they ended up signing over, rights to the organization. They ended up moving to the Dominican Republic with my mother and her 6 brothers and sisters. So my grandparents had 7 kids. So they moved all their kids to the Dominican Republic. They stayed there for a year. And all the kids, they learned fluent Spanish. As kids, most of them forgot Spanish as they grew up, coming back here to America. But my grandpa always spoke fluent Spanish. Whenever we go out to Mexican restaurants or whatever, he always speaking with the waiters in fluent Spanish. And we were always deeply immersed in the Latino culture. So, he ended up coming to work here at UMOS later on. They had sold the rights to the company, or signed over the rights to the company. I don't know if they sold it or made any profit from it or anything, but he ended up because he became a he ended up becoming a he wasn't an attorney, but he processed people's papers. He helped people establish themselves as citizens, legalize their citizenship. And that was his business. I think he said one year he made $100,000. So many of the Latinos, Hispanics, migrants in general, now UMOS is, they help people from all over, So a lot of the Laos, Hmong, other groups, Rohingya, when people from Burma come in. Sure, in the 90s they were helping Bosnian refugees, Albanian, Palestinian, so you name it. UMOS, United Migrant Opportunity Services, United Migrant Opportunity Services. Established them helping my grandparents' kitchen in Racine. They've been helping people establish themselves in Milwaukee, southeastern Wisconsin area for the last, I think, 60 years. Yeah. So 50, 60 years. So anyway, he ended up going to work back there because he lost his license to practice, because he was accused of certifying a marriage or recognizing a marriage that was not legitimate, just so that the person could become a citizen. And for whatever reason that was illegal, and he received a felony for that, and he lost his license to practice immigration. So he lost his business and he became unemployed, and all he could find during this latter portion of his life was odd jobs. He ended up, I remember one day we walked into TJ Maxx and he was working as a cashier, and I just felt so I wasn't embarrassed, but I just felt so humbled and so degenerate. I don't know how you would. I didn't feel good seeing my grandpa, 7 years old, working behind a cash register at TJ Maxx. But praise God, alhamdulillah, in all situations. He ended up coming to work back here as an employee for some time at UMOS, at the organization that he founded and started. And he could only do it for so long. He was going through some challenges, some physical challenges and whatnot, and my grandma supported him basically the rest of his life, until she ended up passing away first when she was 82. She retired for 2 years after 60 years as a nurse, and he passed away at 84, and they left quite a legacy. But I'm here today. I'm gonna see if I get some bread at UMOS, So I don't know if the food pantry's open, but it looks like it might be open. We'll see. Lunes, viernes, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Despensa de alimentos, horas de operación. So they're not open till 1 o'clock. So I gotta come back a couple hours. No mass, no service. All right, adios. Hasta la próxima. Assalamu alaikum, peace.